Today on the Philly Talk podcast, we will be discussing the breaking news. Yes, Kevin Durant requests a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. And the first thing that pops in my mind as a Sixer fan is this.
This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike. Talking Sixers and the Bird Gang, that's our life. Competition, we ain't scared, yeah, that's what we like. Win or lose, you know we showing up and we gon' fight. You see we strive for the sky every day that go by. And every single week we screaming fly, Eagles fly. This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike, yeah. This is Philly Talk with Philly Mike, yeah.
What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Talk podcast. And today we're talking Kevin Durant. Could there be an outside chance that he lands in Philly? We'll discuss that. And if he gets traded, please, if it's not to Philly, go to the West, because we don't need any team in the East getting better. We'll break it all down. But before we do that, Sixer Nation, hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and ding that notification bell so you know when these videos drop. And check out Manscaped. Yes, Big Manscaped is in the house. The Platinum Package 4.0. Use promo code PhillyMike, all lowercases, at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. And again, you can get the deodorant, the shampoo, the crop preserver. You can go get the Lawnmower 4.0. They got new stuff all the time. Boxers. Keep today's man groomed by using Manscaped and get 20% off and free shipping. Now, Kevin Durant asked for a trade. And what stands out to me, besides him asking for a trade, is that, according to Woj, he went right up. Kevin Durant made the trade request directly to Nets owner Joe Tassi today, sources tell ESPN. So he's not playing around. So go knock on the big man's door and say, I want out, is big. Now, here's the thing. He got 4 years on a deal. So guys who are in their last year of a deal that have this much power, that want out, can pretty much pick where they go. When you got 4 years, it can get real crazy. KD would have to sit out. He can hold him for 4 years. There's a lot of stuff that can go on. So the Nets are going to deal him to whoever they really want. Now, I don't know who this Jack guy is, but he says sources say Joel Embiid is making a strong push to get Kevin Durant in Philadelphia. Now, around the same time Jack Settleman was tweeting this, Joel Embiid tweeted LOL. Again, Jack Settleman has 40K followers, but I don't know who he is, and I don't know why he has the check mark. Like, he's a Knicks fan, I believe. I don't even know. So I ain't taking this to heart, but I am taking this to heart. Woj said as the Nets prepare to move on of one of the most valuable trade assets ever on the market, the entire roster will be available to discuss in deals. Source tell ESPN. Teams have been calling on Durant, and the Nets will certainly look for a historic return on players and drafts. And that's where it's like, whoa, historic? Well, then the Sixers might not be allowed in that trade for the simple fact that we don't got many draft picks. Now, I put this on Twitter because if the Sixers were even in the game to get a guy like Kevin Durant, you would have to give up one Tyrese Maxey. And I love Maxey. And I'm not even sure right now if I would do it. And that's why I said, not saying I would or that we could, because I love Maxey, but Harris, Steibel, Maxey, maybe even a pick or two in the future, because we don't got much right now for Kevin Durant. Only 143 votes in the first hour. 72% said yes. 28% said no. I understand why they say no, because they love Maxey. And I definitely understand why you say yes, because it's Kevin Durant. If you got Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, that is a very good team. And Kevin Durant don't really dislike Harden for his work ethic and stuff. He was upset that he left him. Why? Because he's a good player, and the Nets got worse. The Nets got worse. Do I have to remind you that this guy played on his on KD's team 1 year, half a year, didn't even suit up, and now KD's leaving? So once again, you can't make that up. But Kyrie Irving is the reason James Harden left. And there's one thing I do know. Kevin Durant respects the heck out of Joel Embiid. He's talked about it multiple times on podcasts, on post games. he believes Joel Embiid was the rightful MVP. Now, again, giving up Maxey hurts the future, but we haven't won a championship since 1983. We haven't got out the second round in a decade or a decade and a half. Giving up your future for a possible championship is something that you have to consider. Kevin Durant is older. He's a little injured too, but so was Harden, so was Embiid. And no matter who we have on this team, role player wise, if Embiid goes down, you're not winning the championship. So it's still tied to that. But Kevin Durant is still one of the most pulverizing players in the NBA, one of the best scorers we ever seen, with his release point being dang near 7 foot, the lethal ability to pull up mid-range, fade away, three-pointers, get to the rim, play defense, shot block. He's a beast. And again, alongside of Joel Embiid and James Harden, who, if you look at James Harden, and we could say he was a little injured, so maybe he will get back to being better. But let's say he doesn't get better. What is James Harden's best attribute on offense? Facilitating, pushing the ball. So he could really fall back into his Nets role and let KD and Joel do most of the scoring. We'll have to get some role players, but when you get a guy like KD and Joel Embiid on the same team, you'll get guys who come for the minimum because they want to compete for a championship. And again, I don't think it's possible because Woj said, once again, I will pull it up, an historic. And the historic part comes from the Nets having the leverage. If KD has 1 year left, well, then the Nets are like, hey, KD, who you want to go to? We just want to get something for you before you leave. We just want to get something for you before you leave because you're going to leave in a year. But 4 years, the organization really got a hold of him. And so they're going to look for the best offer. Now, again, that Jack Settleman, don't know who he is, but he's been tweeting Philadelphia stuff. He also talked about the Heat and the Suns, who are the two front runners via wanting KD, and KD has them on his wish list. And again, I don't even know who Jack Settleman is, but be sure I will follow him if something like this starts to come out by a credible source. Again, just because you got a check mark don't mean you're a credible source. It means you got a check mark. KD wants out, and by going to the front office and demanding that, they got the 4 years, but he got his name, his brand. And maybe he's willing to sit back and ride the bench. That might put the leverage back in KD's side. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. And again, I'm going to ask you, Sixer Nation, drop it in the comments section if you made it this far. If that trade was on the table, Thibault, Harris, Maxey for KD, would you do it? I'm not saying I would. I'm not saying we can. I want to know from you, would you do it? I would try my best to keep Maxey, of course. That's the only one I'm worried about. Thibault, I want to trade him. Harris, I don't dislike him as a player, but the fit and the money, we need to get rid of him. But I think I'm so hungry to get out the second round and so hungry for a championship that you give me 2 years of short-term possibility over the future, I'm going to have to risk it. So if that was the deal, as much as I love Maxey, I would get rid of him for KD. Sometimes you got to make the tough calls. I love the kid to death, but I probably would do that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Talk Podcast. Once again, check out Manscaped. Keep today's man groomed. The Platinum Package gives you all of it. Or you can get onesies, twosies from Manscaped. Use promo code PhillyMike, all lowercase, 20% off and free shipping. I'm telling you, once you get it, you will love it. I love it. And I'm continuing to get their new products. Until next time, you know what time it is. We out.